found all the heaviest objects here in the hangar to pull the nose wheel up. And as you can probably see, I got the rudder pedals tightened together to get the nose wheel in the center position. Here on my main landing gear, I created my little marker device. Basically just a pencil, crayon pencil with 4 nails or screws. Put it underneath here, and then you can make your line. I do have the parking brake in right now, so it doesn't really slide well. But as you can see, that is your center line that I'm going to be using later on for seeing if the wheels are towed in or towed out or center. I did the same thing also on the nose wheel. As you can see, you have the red line, and the same thing over there on the left main. Now, to get the center line of the longitudinal axis, I tied basically what is a trucker's hitch, so I can adjust the height. So this is actually a little low right now. So if I pull on this, I can adjust the height right there. And then I'm going to make a mark. So now I do have to gauge this by eye because the string is attached right up here, and I can actually manipulate it a little bit. So I'm going to try to get that nice and centered right about there. I'm gonna get that just a little higher so it's free flowing, like that. And now we make a mark with our crayon. So that's gonna be our point of center right there. Cool. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here, and I'm going to get a point on the ground, and then I'm going to snap my chalk line, and then we're going to get on 90 degrees, and I'll show you that on the next step. Now we're over at the tail. Same thing again. Now when I do this trucker's hitch, I do it in reversed. You can look that up on Google. Basically, it allows me to play around with the loose end, and it allows me to play with the length. And now we get that nice and solid, and we make our second mark right there. Maybe a little easier is what I call a sling hitch. Basically, you just wrap the rope around, or the string in this case, 5-6 times, and then you pull it up, and then you want to keep it kind of at the center there, so you get the center of the tab, and I'll give you your mark. Actually, it was a little off, so give it a new mark right there. Here you can see, since I don't have anything to tab it on, use some duct tape. Got my mark, and I made a line all the way down with a chalk line. That's our longitudinal axis. Now we're going to do a 3, 4, 5 to get our square. 3, 4, 5. On a triangle with sides 3, 4, and 5, you'll always get a right angle on the 2 short sides. Here I measured from 1 foot. So this is my 10-foot marker. This is my 6-foot marker. And here's my 8-foot marker. And then over here is my 0. So why does it say 11? I like to measure things from 1, not from 0. That's more accurate. And I got this spot right here because it's generally aligned with the wheels a little bit forward. Because the next step involves us using a string like a compass. I got some braided string here. Braided because it won't stretch on me. Made a little mark for the 8. And now we go over here. We'll try to figure out about 90 degrees. And I'm gonna make a little arc right there where my red dot is. There's the mark on my string. There's my arc. And I got that on both sides. Now I'm gonna transfer the string to the other side over there and measure out to 10 foot. And then I'm gonna draw that arc out again. Now we have the distance over there of 6 feet. Then I measured this arc from there, which is 8 feet. Now I noticed I was a little off, so I have to redo it. And then I went over there. I went over there and measured my 10 feet to basically get this intersection. Now I did the same thing on the other side. And all I have to do now is snap my chalk line. Then I'll have my perfect 90 degrees with our longitudinal axis. There's the intersection of the left side going all the way to the right. I took a little grease, smeared it on there, added some WD-40. Now it's nice and slippery. So this here is going to be our turntable. What that means is we put this underneath the tire, like so. Then once the tire is rested on it, I can just slip it around. There we go. All right, turntable. Whoop, there goes the weight. We got our 90 degrees here to our longitudinal. You could call it your yaw. And then we drew a 90 degrees from our yaw, which is basically a parallel to our longitudinal axis. Now we got the center line on our wheel right here. Doesn't really matter where the center line is as long as it's one consecutive line that goes through. So we're going to measure the distance of this center line to our line down here. Now, if the inside, the gap inside is shorter than the outside, that means our toe is inward. But if our inside, or our back, is wider than our front, which is narrower, that means our toe is outward. Ideally, what we want is to be both distances, well, not ideally, what we want is both distances to be the same, or toe in by half a degree. And the way we're going to do that is by removing this pin right here. I'm going to put a little more weight onto the wheel so we don't blow our piston on our oleo. And I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to start adding washers. Our trusted plumb bob again. So I got that laid up on my line, and basically I just bring it down to the point where it hits the ground. And I already made the mark there because it's a little difficult if I just have one hand. And then I'm gonna do the same thing at the front, and then we'll measure the distance from that point to this line. All right, lo and behold, I took the distance from there and took the distance here. Those are my 2 marks. I'm almost half an inch toe in, which is way too much. No wonder it was pulling me to the left. Jesus Christ, half an inch. Same thing on the left main. We're about 1/4 inch in, almost in tolerances, but still too much. Half a degree would be, you could have half a degree nose in, toe in, I mean. That's almost 1/8 of an inch, so that's too much.